This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, a tablet, desperately seeking an Xbox, a brand new game, or a whole lot more, you can get them all at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% on almost everything. To browse the products that are available and learn more about the discounts, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. One of the topics that's been around for a little while with us has been the growing discomfort with the app stores, whether it be Apple's App Store or Google Play. There has been some discontentment with the way it works. The seeming monopolies, less so on Android than on iOS for sure, has led to some policies that have annoyed developers, publishers, and users, particularly the 30% cut that they take on in-app purchases that must be purchased using the company's own payment platforms, even though most of these developers already have their own payment platforms in place. We've talked about Epic Games suing Apple and Google and having to pull Valve into it and all kinds of interesting stuff. There's the App Fairness Coalition that has grown up because of this. But there's an interesting additional thing that's going on right now, which is an attempt to bypass the stores. One of the companies that is leading that charge is Parallelz. No, not the Parallelz that allows you to put Windows on a Mac, but with a Z. And this company is building a platform. They just got $3 million in investment, which isn't a ton of money, but they've done virtualization before. They're responsible for the virtualization of games on the Facebook gaming platform. They are working on putting together a platform that will allow publishers and developers to take their apps as built for iOS and Android, possibly Microsoft. They haven't talked about platforms specifically, but we know mobile apps, and push them directly to a web app store exactly as is, run exactly the same, and bypass the stores because it's on the web. It is a fascinating concept. I don't know exactly how they plan to do it. They haven't talked openly, as far as I know, about the technology behind it, but I don't know, Abram. I could see them doing something similar to how Microsoft does Xbox cloud gaming, right? And just streaming the software direct to your browser. There's nothing that says that has to be a game technology, right? Any software theoretically could do that.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing here is, okay, so the question is, how much is it going to have enough access to the hardware to compete with actual apps from the App Store? Are they going to have access to things like your sensors, your accelerometer? I mean, there are web APIs that give you some of that data, although I think there's interesting questions about how persistent you can make it. Like, can you kind of have to have that, normally have to have that web page open. So is this Parallelz thing going to work even when you don't have that web page open?
So it's a fair question. I know, for example, I can get push notifications from the browser when the browser is not open. So there is some background persistence with, particularly, for sure, with Safari on iOS. Android has a more diverse browser ecosystem than iOS does. You can have browsers, and you can even set default browsers now, but Apple does what it does with the way software works on their devices, and pinned websites as apps have to be done through Safari on iOS. So that means that Safari, you've got the capabilities of Safari. So maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting concept, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think that's the question. It is an interesting concept, but are they going to be able to do all the things that an app does?
Right.
I mean, by all rights, I think there are way too many services that would like you to use that really nag you to use an app when it's perfectly okay to do it via the browser.
Sure.
And I would rather not have an app because for exactly the reason that the apps do have more access to my information. So, and more access to persist. So, like Reddit, for example, Reddit, I don't use mobile Facebook on my phone. I use the Facebook website,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know that they hate me for it or whatever because, you know, it's always nagging me. But the one that nags me the most is Reddit. Like Reddit really wants to punish you for not using the Reddit app.
The little thing that comes up in the bottom. Continuing
Every
browser
single time.
open
Yeah.
app. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Every single time. And my feeling about it is like, well, but I don't want to have all these apps running because no matter if you close them, they are running in the background to an extent. They are doing things to an extent. And of course they start to give you more notifications that are hard to get rid of sometimes. So if something works is a website, I really don't see why I should have to install an app for it. Like Facebook, like basically all the social things, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, like why I visit you in the web browser on my computer.
Particularly Twitter, since Twitter uses the PWA in a wrapper now for its mobile apps.
Like, why do you need it? Like, what is the point? It just gives them a way to further kind of dig into what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So, or give you more alerts or whatever. I really want to avoid that. So, I mean, I think there's a school of thought, and I totally agree with that you should have mobile friendly websites and mobile friendly web services so you don't need an app.
Yeah.
But there are some things that have just a lot more access, require a lot more access to the hardware. Mm-hmm. Games games are, kind of in that group too. So I think it's an interesting concept. I'd like to see how it works. Is it going to be able to do things like access the camera and the GPS?
Those I can tell you for sure. Yes. There was the there's more of them now, but there was that. It started with an A. I can't think of what it was called. That web-based native development platform many years ago. That it doesn't matter. Apache got a hold, or Adobe got a hold of. And yeah, well, I could access GPS with an unbelievably accurate location. With that, I could access the camera in an almost identical way to the native app experience. So those two I know for a fact will be possible. So I don't know. I want to see this thing in action. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see this thing in action. It's a fascinating concept. I want to know more technologically about what they're up to, because being able to take an iOS or an Android app and put it directly on the web without any code changes, which is their claim, is fascinating to me. It sounds a little bit like Microsoft's, I don't remember what they were called. They had two bridges, the mobile app bridges, one for Android and one for iOS. It sounds a little bit like that, where it just imported and became a Windows app with no code changes, but I don't know. I definitely want to see this thing in action.
Yeah, same.
Hopefully we will get that chance, or maybe we can get a chance to sit down with them at some point in the near future and talk to them about what they're up to. And if so, we will definitely let you know about that. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.